Here we are, we locked down in different cities, and our virtual connection falls apart. Guess it's been too many years since California. Now the memories of us is all I have. See, one day I'm gonna reach ya, take a plane for many miles. We pretend that time didn't pass us by when we're on Mulholland Drive. I know it won't be long before dawn, gotta be patient for a while. Someday we'll look at stars in this same sky when I'm on the other side.
Hello everybody, welcome into the NOMA Gen 6 series presented by Blue Ridge Auto Group live at Talladega Superspeedway. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You're watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. Exciting one tonight, last Superspeedway of the season. And with that, let's get right down trackside and get things kicked off with your starting grid here tonight. Again, a little bit of a smaller field than what we saw at Daytona to start the season off, but a little bit bigger than we've seen the last couple weeks. DJ Madish, he will steal the pole tonight with a 52.016. Could have a shot at his first win of the season tonight if he's putting down a pace like that all night. Kenneth Redinger will roll off in second. Back in third is Justin Parham. His teammate Grant Turner will roll off fourth. John Lynch, Jay Stinson making up row number 3. Sean Wilder of the Pit Stall Motorsports, he will start in 7th. Zach Stevens back in 8th. Bradley King in 9th. And Brianna Laurent rounding out your top 10. Matthew Fritz will roll off 11th to his outside. Chase Greer back in 13th. And rounding out our field tonight is going to be John Bell. Another one of the drivers making a part-time start here tonight. We'll see what he can make happen. Taking a look at your race info, it is the Blue Ridge Auto Group 186 is already up front. Looks like we got a couple guys with a couple blinking issues, but breakdown of the race for you. Again, Gen 6 series here tonight. Going to be 70 laps of action. That breaks down to 186 miles. Everybody going to have 65% fuel, 5 sets of tires in total. 1 fast pair, as always, fixed setups. And then 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Track length 2.65 miles. Weather outside 73 degrees, 10% humidity. Clear skies, winds at 2 miles an hour, and that sun and low humidity is setting us up for one hot track temp. Take a look, 125 degrees. The starting track temp for these guys here tonight, so it's going to be a little brutal. These cars are going to be slipping and sliding around, but it's going to be a lot of drafting action, and we saw a good one at Daytona. Saw Redinger get the win. Can he repeat at our second and last Super Speedway of the season? We're getting ready to find out. Quick disclaimer, I am a little under the weather here tonight, so hopefully everything sounds okay. If it doesn't, feel free to let me know, and we'll work on the best we can. Mark Stevens is ready to go. Says Southeast Hydrographics and Steven Nation in the house. Sounds like a plan. Here we go. Rolling up into the Geico restart zone for the first time here tonight. Start-finish line about 200 yards further than it is at Daytona. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Talladega. Lap 1 complete at Talladega, and it is going to go to the 24 of Kenneth Redinger. Didn't take those teammates long to get lined up and get right to the front, but not able to get with each other. We saw a little bit of pushing going on further back. It is Parham and the 13 of John Lynch tucked together, but what about the tandem? We're starting to see out front here from Grant Turner and Kenneth Redinger actually pulling a little bit on the field, and big part of the issue here is DJ Madish. Again, looks like he's having some major internet issues right now. He continues to blink out. I think these guys behind him are a little too spooked to try to go by. Jay Stinson, though, to jump up top, pick up his teammate Zach Stevens, see if they can get a run going, make something happen. Sean Wilder, one of the Super Speedway specialists, he's up top as well. And again, Daytona, Talladega, the two tracks on the season where teammates mean everything. You're going to have them if you want a chance. And here we go. They're going to split the 69 of DJ Madish 3 wide. I mean, you knew they weren't going to be able to stick behind him for too long. Just too many issues. And that's a tough break for Madish, all things considered. Again, it's a good start. He set the pole, and looking like there was a lot of promise right off the get-go, but the internet had troubles for him. And honestly, it looked like Brianna Laurent, maybe with a couple issues as well, but she got some learning that she got at Daytona, first race with these guys in the NOMA series. And so she's back out here this week at Talladega looking to see what she can make happen. Currently drafting behind DJ Madish in that 69 machine, the 8 of Chase Greer on the bottom. And up front, it is still Kenneth Redinger, Grant Turner, but now the other two SPINO Racing drivers have pulled up to the party, Justin Parham and John Lynch. And while all this is happening, it is allowing that outside to slowly get formed up. Keep an eye on Jay Stinson. He's on the top. It's not quite the shortest way around this track, but you can get some more momentum wound up for the straightaways, and if you're locked together, you can really make some progress in these cars. That's the beauty of the Gen 6 over the next gens. And here you go. You're going to see the 17 now of Bradley King. He'll make a jump up to that top line just in front of Stinson, who maybe gets him offset, thinks better of it. He'll split him 3 wide. The 17 of King's going to find a spot to jump in line just behind Chase Greer in front of the 5 of John Bell. And that really hurt the momentum at the outside. You can see Stinson falling back. His teammate up front trying to make something work. Matthew Fritz, Chase Greer is going to go with him. And I like the way he set that up. Tried to get a run before he made it happen. And so now this should help pull those back 3 cars up into the picture. How about we go take a ride on board again? This track is going to be a little bit faster than what we see at Daytona. And so let's go on board here. How about with your leader, Kenneth Redinger, and take a look at what some of the dashboard speeds are here so far tonight. About 197 miles an hour right there as he got down into turn number 1. And we say it all the time, but all things considered, the goal at a track like Talladega is pretty simple. Hold the wheel straight, hold it steady, and the guys behind you, their job is to push. And right now, Grant Turner is giving Redinger one heck of a push. Over 200 miles an hour as they rocket down the Alabama gang back straightaway. Getting into turn 3 and 4, you see they get down to just under the mid-190s. So again, faster than any other series that we see in NOMA that runs here at Talladega, including the Xfinity and the trucks. And Grant Turner is looking like a phenomenal pusher at the moment. In fact, he is one of our guys that we have with an onboard camera for us here tonight. Take a look. Grant Turner still looking for that first win on the season. Has had a couple of close chances, including last week at Darlington. Found himself at the front late. Fortunately, just could not hold off but charging John Lynch. John Lynch able to capture his first win of the season. And speaking of, he is our other driver that we have with an onboard camera for us here tonight. John Lynch, last week's winner, after getting by Grant Turner towards the end of the race, made a phenomenal move, the race-winning move, and of course now he's got all that momentum to work off of. So at this point, I think, don't be surprised if SPINO Racing, maybe he's got a little bit of a team objective here to try to help Justin Parham get his first win of the season here tonight at Talladega. And that 9 car, he's got a ton of speed each and every week. Again, a bad break last week at Pocono. Was not happy with some late race traffic. It might have been DJ Madish. And he made sure to let his point known on the last lap. Tried to clean out that car and unfortunately cleaned himself out in the process. You understand the frustration, but you got to wonder how does that hurt his chances and points for the rest of the season. Not sure of any penalties that were awarded or not, but still up front, a lot of action as they are still 2x2. And that outside, I'm telling you, they're making some things work here as Justin Parham and John Lynch, they made the move. And man, so far tonight, the biggest runs have really come from these 2-car tandems that we're seeing form up. You saw it again there. And all it is you just get you and your teammate, get locked up coming off a corner. These cars like to kind of stick together. And so when you do that, you get all this momentum generated, and the other lanes, they just can't hold off. It does take a minute to get linked up, so you kind of catch a couple guys off by surprise, but 8 laps already in the books. Looking at pit stops, again, 65% fuel in these cars. if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably right around just over 20 laps or so for these guys. Again, we don't have the exact number, but if I had to guess, I'd say somewhere between 20 and 25 laps. Maybe a little bit more than that. We'll call it 20 to 30 on the first one and see what happens, but so far, everything's been nice and clean. And I mentioned that because we know at some point you're probably going to see the big one here at a track like Talladega, and Jay Stinson right here. Bradley King, he better be comfortable up front because Stinson's not going to hold back for too long. He knows if he wants to keep this lane rolling and keep him even, he's going to have to do a lot of pushing. And there you see on the bottom, you have got two of the SPINO Racing teammates lined up, Lynch and Parham, followed by Chase Greer. And here you go, Stinson gets to him, and there you go. It knocks him a little bit sideways. That's what's making Jay nervous right now. You see how big the spoiler is on these cars. It's not easy to see getting down into the turns. You're right on the back bumper of somebody, so you got to be careful about the approach you take, and certainly don't want to get yourself in trouble early on in this race with only one fast repair. The drag race down the Alabama gang back straightaway. Bradley King with another big push and another big wiggle, trying to get clear of the 13 John Lynch. Now he's going to get loose. Oh, watch out. Oh, he's going to wreck. 17 hard into the wall. Jay Stinson follows him in. Caution is out. First one of the night. Heavy right front damage to the 17 of Bradley King. Gets back rolling. May not be Quell. No, I think it's going to be Terminal here. It almost looks... I'm trying to figure out if his suspension's bobbling around here a little bit. Yeah, I think that's mapped to be a fast repair, almost guaranteedly. You know, I hate to say it, but you almost could see it coming just a little bit. Again, Bradley, I like the aggression level. I do. You got to get up here. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, but boy, he just did not look like the car was working with him too well up here, and eventually him and Stinson get offset, and chaos ensues. Here we go. Let's go back and take a look from the chopper view. So it's coming into turn 3 is where this whole ordeal kind of starts. And watch the push here from Jay Stinson. Right there. Notice how he's a little offset to the left, and then he gets just a slight bit offset to the right. Not bad, but it's going to start to move the 17 down. Then Jay right here, he gets really offset to the left. He kind of swipes across the rear bumper. Doesn't take much. It starts to hook that 17 down the track, and Bradley does a really good job, as does Jay here, saving it. They both stay off each other, but then, as you see, the 17 starts working his way back up the track here. Not sure if maybe he thought he was still going to be clear what happened, but once they get close, Jay maybe just starting to come back down a little bit as well. And as I was just getting ready to say, once these two get close, I think there's going to be a little bit of netcode that plays a factor, but turns the 17 into the wall, and then Jay Stinson follows him in. But definitely think the 17 got the worst of it. Yeah, I didn't recognize that, but yeah, that right front is destroyed. You see the suspension completely torn up. So that will most definitely be his first fast repair of the night. Let's take a look here from TV Follow. And so Jay, in fact, before we take a look at TV Follow, I take that back. Let's go to the cockpit view here for Jay Stinson. All he's trying to do here is get him clear to drop to the bottom, and he had almost completed a couple different times, and things start to get a little bit uneven here, and sometimes it's kind of that chain effect of it just builds upon itself. And there you go, there's the big save, but then ultimately there's the wreck, and it just all happens so fast at a track like Talladega where you're going 200 miles an hour. It's just not much you could really do at that point except try to save it the best you can. Here's another look at it. And watch, Stinson, when he comes back down, he's going to make contact with somebody else. Couldn't tell if it was John Bell or maybe Zach Stevens or Sean Wilder. And, ooh, yeah, that's going to be Sean Wilder. Gives him a good little nudge in the right side door before going back up and slamming the right side of the wall pretty hard for him as well. You got to wonder if that destroys Jay's car, and he has to use a fast repair also. Certainly looked like a similar hit to what Bradley King saw, and yeah, it looks like the toe on that car is also out of whack. Heavy right side damage overall. Let's take a couple more angles of this one. How about from the TV Follow? And I think maybe the good thing about this one is some of the guys behind did start to kind of see it coming. Right here, the 17's just washing up. The 5 of John Bell, I think, starts to recognize. Stevens definitely does. You see him starting to dip low. Bell's going to just barely sneak by the inside of these two. Wilder's trying to shoot the gap. It's a good decision. It's all he can really do at that point, but does a good job there. You see Brianna Laurent making sure she drops below the apron so she's not involved. And so ultimately it's going to go down in the books as just a 2-car wreck. Certainly looked like it was going to be a lot more off the start. Final view from the fan cam. And there's the big impacts. So as we go back live up front, wrapping up your first caution of the night, it is Grant Turner being scored as your leader. John Lynch back in second. Kenneth Redinger in third. Chase Greer in fourth. Zach Stevens fifth with DJ Madish sixth. Brianna Laurent already up 3 positions from where she started. She is on the move right now through the field. And then just behind her is John Bell in 8th, Matthew Fritz in 9th, Jay Stinson rounding out your top 10. And in fact, we can take a look at both of these cars here. And it looks to me like, yeah, I think Jay did indeed use that fast pair. Oh, well, he may not have. It almost looks like there's still a couple of scrapes on the front end of that car. We won't call it for certain. Now, this guy right here definitely did. Bradley King. He had to pretty much. I mean, the damage was just way too severe. There was no chance he was going to be able to keep up pace. So him and Jay are going to have to be kind of treading on thin tire right here the rest of the race. You got to be real careful, at least till we get to the end of this thing and there's something to race for. But, I mean, still just under 60 laps to go. This 186-mile event. So keep your stuff clean, get a little practice out here on the draft, and set yourself up for those last 25 laps. I want to thank again everybody that's tuning out here tonight. Got a couple things going on Ghost Racing Network tonight. I believe actually right now over, well, I shouldn't say over, I guess, of course, on the same channel, but Ghost has another stream up right now. It's the Ghost Cup Series, it looks like, qualifying at Daytona. And a couple of the new Ghost Racing Network broadcasters over there. Go check them out if you get a chance. And then after this, we're going to head over to the PGR Esports Series. And it's the Acre 55 tonight at Daytona International Speedway. First time we're going to be headed to that track in series history. So make sure you check over there. Matthew Baker will be joining me in the booth for that one. Looking for another good race tonight. But as these guys all get ready to go back green, we'll take a look at the schedule probably a little bit later. NOMA did announce a new series, though. It's going to be a DPI series, I believe. But it's overall, it's a road course series, an endurance series. So you know the cars are going to be running in 24 hours of Daytona. The prototypes, those will be, I believe, the kind of cars that they're using. And they're going to go to Daytona, Long Beach, I believe Sebring, a bunch of really cool road courses that will be broadcasted live on NOMA TV. Make sure you're going to check that one out as well. A lot of good stuff going on for NOMA. And in general, we're getting close to Speed Weeks, about a month away or so. Good time for sim racing as a whole. A lot of exciting things going on, and a lot of good races still to go. Points after Darlington, though, your top 3 as they stand. Kenneth Redinger, John Lynch, and Grant Turner. And 2 of those are in your top 3 in the race right now. So we'll see what happens right here. The pace truck's going to pull off. It's going to be 13 laps complete when we cross the line this time. We take a ride on board here. Let's take a look from the cockpit view here of John Lynch. Here we go. See exactly what he's doing right there. He was working on the side drive. He doesn't have any help yet from Zach Stevens, so his best bet was to try to pull Chase Greer back to not let him get to the rear bumper of that 39. But so far here, at least during this restart, not really any teammates lined up. Now you see further back, just as I say that, Parham and Redinger, they're going to do just that and watch for those 2 to make a move to the outside, but they're not connected just yet. If you're Parham, maybe drag the brakes here just a little bit to get you and your teammate locked together, but then now at the back, there you see it. Jay Stinson, Bradley King talked about they were probably going to play it safe. Looks like that is exactly what they're doing right now. Up front, the 91 of Sean Wilder on the outside trying to make something work with Zach Stevens, and DJ Madish in the middle of the pack. Looks like he's having some internet issues yet again. I think this is going to not really help this inside much. A lot of guys are going to abandon that inside, at least till they can get in front of the 69. And the 5 of John Bell, he is right now just hoping that the 69 is able to stay down there. When he blinks back in, he doesn't blink up the track. 33 of Stevens still in front of Sean Wilder. The 5 of John Bell. DJ Madish, he did move up to that top lane now. So the bottom, only 3 cars strong. And actually, they were able to hold on right there. Grant Turner got locked onto the back bumper of John Lynch just as they were approaching the end of the straightaway. And as a result, just as you thought Stevens was going to get clear, he's not able to. But Wilder, we talked about it, part-time this season, at least up to this point. He's only made the 2 super speedway races. But man, he has been making them count when he is here. We know he's one of the super speedway specialists. See him a lot in the NOMA Super Speedway Series. And he is showing why here tonight as he gets both himself and Zach Stevens clear. That is going to put Venom Racing in the front for the first time here tonight, along with the Pit Stall Motorsports. Ken Wilder, the only driver for that team in the field tonight. And so talking about when we went back green after that caution, looking at how that's going to affect the pit stops. I think maybe it pushes that first pit stop to, if I had to guess, maybe somewhere closer to right around lap 40. But again, we kind of got to see one first to have a good judgment. We do know it's 65% fuel. Oh, out back. Hold on. John Bell's going to go around. Into the outside wall he goes. Caution is out. And I think Brianna Laurent might have been in it as well. Yeah, she's got heavy damage on the front nose. That Star Wars Chevy Camaro. Man, tough break. She was just back there just kind of mind their own business right now, and she's going to be caught up as an innocent victim in this wreck. And that's going to be a fast car, I would almost think, for sure. That is a heavy, heavy impact. Go back and take a look at this. It looks like John Bell, the initial look was like the car just started to kind of step out on him and couldn't quite catch it. Not sure if he ended up getting some help here. Probably didn't help his case that he had DJ Madish blinking behind him here. Let's take a look. So there's the 5 of John Bell. Watch DJ. He's going to blink out here in just a minute. Gets to the 5 and... Man, oh man, I think DJ hits him. You see, he's not actually there in frame when it happens, but I think you can pretty much imply that, and then Bell trying to save it. Just not able to do so, and then here comes Brianna Laurent. She's got a full head of speed and T-bones him in the left front, nowhere to go, and then this is where she's going to get the heavy damage. She makes contact with the outside safer barrier. Let's back this up one more time, and let's take a couple different views. First one here from the chopper so I can show you why I think that there was contact here from DJ Madish, and it just wasn't shown it at the time. Watch the 69 here. Look how close he gets. Right there, he's just getting ready to lock on, and he disappears. So I think he still hits the 5 of John Bell. Might have been a little bit of netcode, hard to say, but that's just a tough break. I mean, DJ trying to help John. John just trying to mind his own business as well, but that's those connectivity issues that DJ's been having all night, and you wonder, it certainly seems like that may have played a pretty big role in this wreck right here. If you're John Bell, you're probably not too happy about it, and you can't blame him. Here's the onboard view. Yeah, I mean, it just hooks that car right to the left. He tries to save it, gets a little bit overcorrected, and then back down. At this point, the car, it's just not going to be able to handle the load you're putting on it anymore. Spins around. He does clip DJ. Lucky for DJ, he didn't get hooked and go hard into the outside wall. And then there's Brianna Laurent after making contact, sliding into the outside wall. Take a look at this from TV Follow. And man, DJ Madish, you still got to give him credit for missing that second impact, but Brianna Laurent, see it completely bend the front end of that Chevy Camaro up. John Bell, I'm not sure if he'll have to use a fast car. I think most of his damage is constrained to the side of the car, but these things very aero dependent, just as the next gens are. So especially at a track like Talladega, you're going to need every bit of aero you can get. When you get any sort of damage, it does not help that case. And so it brings out your second caution of the night. Both incidents we've had have been two-car incidents. So as we go back to the front, Mitchell Stevens, who was rooting on Zach Stevens, you're going to get your wish right here. The 33 is in front, thanks to the assist from Sean Wilder that got him up there, and he's not looked back since. Kenneth Rettinger is going to be starting second here. Sean Wilder back in third. Grant Turner fourth. John Lynch in fifth. Chase Greer in sixth. Matthew Fritz back in seventh. Jay Stinson eighth. Bradley King ninth. And DJ Madish rounding out your top 10. We are going to take our first break of the night. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us for the restart at Talladega. Front, now we're going to see a little four-wide action.
Crazy out of the trial.
Oh, he gets over it into the lead under record.
by 3, entering 4.
3 2. At the flag stand, side by side, it's going to be Jason Maines winning it at Talladega. Welcome back to the Blue Ridge Auto Group 186 here at Talladega Superspeedway. Getting ready for the restart after cleaning up the second caution of the night. Row 1 is going to be Zach Stevens and Sean Wilder. Those two got to the front during that last run. We'll see what can Grant Turner and Chase Greer do there in row 2. Matthew Fritz back with Jay Stinson in row 3. Green flag is back in the air. 19 laps complete now. Everybody's still in the race, but more than a couple seconds back now as AC Redinger and DJ Madish. Looks like they were able to get tagged off with this whole group back here, as a matter of fact. They need to be careful. You don't want to fall too far back too soon. Up front, speaking of too far back, how about going all the way as far out as you can go? Grant Turner got locked up with Zach Stevens. Those two trying to create some distance again. You can only really hold that distance for so long. Eventually the cars start to get hot. You got to bail out of the throttle, let the temps cool down a little bit. You don't want to blow your engine up. But man, some of these restarts, the things we have been seeing Grant Turner be able to do, the front nose of his Chevy Camaro, he has pushed some of these guys out to tremendous leads. And not one of the guys that I would say you necessarily have down in your book as a super speedway specialist, but we see him in the NOMA Truck Series. We see him in the NOMA Gen 6 Series, and he's continuing to learn, pick up some new tricks. So far, they're working for him here tonight. On the outside now, here comes Sean Wilder with Chase Greer. They're starting to build up a little run. Jay Stinson and John Bell back there as well. Zach Stevens on the inside. Looked like he took a peek, thought about going up to block and maybe try to help that 91 get a run and clear both of them, but Sean Wilder needs none of it because Chase Greer is doing plenty of the job and almost was able to get him clear before they got slightly disconnected coming onto the backstretch. Both lanes now tandem back up. Chase Greer is going to pull out, let the front cool off just a little bit. Further back towards the back of this pack, looks like Parham, Redinger, and Litch have all caught on, and I think they're trying to get lined up and then just a couple seconds behind this pack already. Not sure what's happened here, but certainly looks as if DJ Madish and Brandon Laurent have fallen behind the leaders, the lead pack rather, and by about 4 seconds. And fortunately for Brianna, with DJ Blinken, that draft's not going to be that fast, even with just 2 cars. They would have a chance, but with him blinking, there's just not going to be much of one. So they're going to have to hope for a caution here, and certainly wouldn't rule it out. We've had 2 tonight, and we have yet to see the big one. Zach Stevens still on the bottom. Sean Wilder up top with Chase Greer. Jay Stinson back there, and I think we're going to see 2 wide probably for most of the night. Remember, we didn't see much 3 wide at Daytona either. And I keep bringing up Daytona. I mean, it's the only other track like Talladega that we have to use for a reference. Besides that, the other tracks we've been to so far was Atlanta, Pocono, and then Darlington. Darlington last week, Pocono the week before, 2 of the trickiest tracks on the entire schedule. So a lot of guys looking to make their wild card kind of victory here tonight. The underdog win. Everybody's got a chance with the draft, the great equalizer. And so if you're up front in the last 5 laps of this race, count yourself in as a potential winner. But Sean Wilder up top, man, him and Chase, they have been doing all sorts of pushing, and yet it still has just not been enough. Again, that is over 30 degrees of banking, so you take the inside lane, it's going to be a significantly shorter way around the track, but when you're up top, it's a little bit easier to push. You don't have to put as much wheel input into the car in the corners. And they see Chase again washing up. He's trying to cool it down. He gets back to the 91 right as they get about on exit. That's the one area you don't want to push. As you see Chase make sure he does it there, and just like that, They must have heard me talking about it, because now finally he's going to be able to get Sean Wilder clear. And Wilder indeed drops to the bottom to give Chase Greer a chance to cool down his temps just a little bit. That'll push Stinson to second on the outside. That pushes, I guess I shouldn't say pushes, that makes a 1-2 Venom Racing right now on the outside. They've got a teammate in Zach Stevens second on the inside. And Chase Greer, he is now going to get clear as well. All of a sudden, see, outside lane is starting to get rolling, and there you go. You see all three of the SPINO Racing drivers lined up top, currently leading in team points. But boy, they'd like to add to that here tonight. See if they can't get another win to Kenneth Redinger, a first win to Justin Parham, or maybe a back-to-back win for John Lynch. 23 laps complete again with that second caution. Looking at fuel, that pushes us back again even further. It's still not quite, these guys can't quite make it on fuel still. We would still have to go a little ways before that would be into question, but I think that's going to move them back to probably, man, maybe in the 50s just about for when they're going to have the next pit. That's again, well, maybe a little bit less. I'm going to say 45 to 50, somewhere right around there, maybe give or take a couple laps on that range. But the point is, since we did push it back now, I think this is probably going to end up only being a one-stopper instead of what initially looked like a potential two-stopper. And so how does that change your strategy? I mean, I think if I'm out there in the pack, that makes me want to get more aggressive, try to go to the front. I think that's what we've seen quite a bit of here tonight through all these runs. The outside lane has yet to die out and really just become one single file lane. I mean, it seems to like kind of depend on who you have out there, right? When Jay Stinson's out there, that line's on the move. When he's got a teammate that he can push, that line's really on the move. John Bell and the 5 and the 31, they're not teammates, so maybe not quite the best chemistry between those two right now and trying to get there to the front, but John Bell keeps trying. Jay Stinson keeps receiving the pushes, and I think they're going to get some draft here eventually. I mean, the only other thing you can really try is a little bit of a side draft, but Jay Stinson doesn't seem to want to risk that right now, and you can't blame him. Ooh, Chase Greer gets out of shape. Sean Wilder's going to have to let him up. That put the 8 in a very awkward spot, but the entire inside line does a good job checking up, let him save it, get back on the track, and we stay green. And it doesn't take much, I'll tell you what, one of the problems with these cars, that one of the, I guess, downsides we'll say, is that, man, they are really easy to stick together. You see that on the Camaros. See if we can get a better view of this. They actually have a little bit of a pointed nose. It's, again, doesn't quite do it as much justice from this angle, but they do have a bit more of a pointed nose than, let's say, the car that Sean Wilder's in, which is a Mustang, where the nose is just about completely flat. And then, of course, we don't have any Toyotas in the field here tonight, or on the season as for that matter. And so the Mustangs are a little bit better at pushing. The Camaros sometimes, again, you get just slightly offset. You got to remember with that pointed nose, it's going to be a lot more offset than it maybe looks. But you got to push to make progress, and there is a prime example of it. Stinson on the bottom with Chase Greer, but oh, John Bell's trying to save it. He gets up into the outside wall. He'll keep it up there. No caution. We stay green. That's heavy damage to the 5 car of Bell. He is immediately going to drop below the yellow line and bring it in for repairs. I was just getting ready to say, look how much pushing they were doing on the outside, and look how well it was working. They were doing the first thing, and unfortunately, though, the second thing wasn't happening for much longer. This was a huge surge of momentum. In fact, I want to back this up and see if we can reiterate just the effect of this draft here from a different angle. Watch from TV4 here. Look at the run. They're about a car length and a half behind Jay Stinson. But once they get lined up, it's like a freight train on the outside. They all march by. Problem is, when you get into turn 3 right here, John Lynch is just going to start to get a little too offset on the back bumper of John Bell. And then, does he actually, maybe he doesn't here. Does he try to jump up, or does he indeed push Bell down? It doesn't really look like he pushes Bell down. It looks like Lynch goes to make a move, and then maybe trying to come back down. I mean, it's kind of an odd look here. I'm trying to play that slow one more time. So watch what John Lynch does here. Go to the cockpit view. And it's, here we go, play nice and slow for you. Watch as he almost switches ends on the car in front. So here it looks like he's maybe trying to make a move, which I think I realized maybe he wasn't. Yeah, because there you go. He's trying to duck back down in line. It looks like right there, but fortunately at that point it's just a little bit too late as kind of swipes the 5. That sends John Bell almost down. I thought he was getting ready to clean out the field, but you saw him make that overcorrection that sent him hard into the outside wall, but did save the rest of the field. So that's a tough break for John Bell, but a lucky one for the rest of the field not to be involved in that. So back up front as they come to complete 29 of 70 laps so far here tonight. John Lynch is now your leader with Parham in second. Kenneth Redinger in third. That puts SPINO Racing 1, 2, 3 for the moment, but Grant Turner, he is committed to the outside now, trying to get some momentum going up there. He's got some help from Zach Stevens and Matthew Fritz. And further back, these two keeping an eye, making sure they're not going to get lapped anytime soon. And right now it looks like they're still okay, just about between a quarter and a half a track behind the leaders. Again, that'll extend each lap that goes by, but up front, I don't think you're going to see any three of these teammates move right now. So if you're Grant Turner, Zach Stevens is your best friend, and you're trying to find a couple more friends if you can right now, but let's take another ride on board here with Grant Turner. In fact, we'll go out the gearbox. What this is going to take, and again, it's all risk versus reward, is exactly what Stevens willing to do. As he just did right there, you're going to have to get locked on to the bumper of the car in front of you. You're going to have to stick there all the way until we get to the turns. I do think these cars can push in the turns, but I don't think that's something that really anybody wants to risk tonight with some of the accidents that we've seen. And so Grant Turner just focused on holding a nice steady wheel here in front of Stevens and Fritz. Two Venom Racing drivers seem to almost have an alliance with Grant tonight. They've all been working really well together, so they're going to keep that trend going. And here you go. They're going to pull 1, 2, maybe 3 drivers clear of that inside line, the 13 of John Lynch. Maybe wondering what in the world just happened. He had all of his teammates in total, Parham and Redinger, line up behind him, but all of a sudden the outside went absolutely flying by. Looked like they were going probably 10 miles an hour faster thanks to the push from Matthew Fritz and Zach Stevens. And so that'll now put the 39, one of the independent drivers of Grant Turner, by himself out in front. Venom Racing back in second, SPINO Racing in third, fourth. It's another one of the Venom Racing drivers, fifth. SPINO, I mean, I think you get the trend right here. SPINO and Venom going to be the two most dominant teams on the season, and of course the two biggest teams on the season. And 31 laps complete now. Going to be coming to 32 to go when we cross the line this time. Trying to figure out who you can pick to win this race is just, it's such a tough task. And here you go. The SPINO guys are going to make another stand at it here as they go up. Look like Stevens was trying to maybe work his way up. Think about a block. There's nothing doing, but he's going to continue to push that lane up. Problem is now Grant Turner wants to try it. Man, that was a big block right there from Grant. He was not able to make it work, so he'll have to jump right back down to the bottom. Take a look at the driver cam. There's some smiles right now. They were saying, hold on just a minute there, Grant. You're not quite clear, bud. Justin Parham, he gets clear to the bottom, but he's going to try to pull both of his teammates, the one in the front and the back, clear here. They had it for a split second, but not quite able to take it, and now that bottom's getting tandemed up again. Starting to make a big draft and a big pull. Jay Stinson, Sean Waller, the last two on the inside. Just as I say, at the outside, they will prevail. Going down the back straightaway, Fritz gets clear. Redinger stays up top. Parham and Lynch, they've had an option to jump down, but I think it's because Redinger has not been able to. They've chosen to stay up there, at least on this little run towards the front right now. As Chase Greer is still not to the back bumper of his teammate, who's desperately awaiting aid right now as he continues to see spots falling right out of his grasp. So just like that, 29 of Matthew Fritz is going to get brought back in the picture here in just about a lap as Chase Greer has now arrived on scene. Bradley King up top, fourth car back. Good recovery so far for him after being in that first caution of the night. And again, we are just about 2 laps away from halfway now, so still no need to pick up the intensity too much just yet. Still expecting a green flag pit stop. You got plenty of tires. That's another question that we got to ask ourselves is anybody thinking about taking tires here during this pit stop? I think you could afford to take at least 2. Not sure how close it's going to be and if it's worth it to take 4 tires, but let's go a little bit further in depth with your points and how some of these guys are working out. We talked about your top 3 in points after Darlington last week. Redinger, Lynch, and Turner. John Lynch made up 4 spots in points after getting that win. Parham back in 5th. Chase Greer was in 4th. Matthew Fritz 6th. Zachary Stevens in 7th. That actually looks like Zach might be tied with Matthew Fritz for 6th. And so that'll put Stinson back in 8th. Bradley King 9th. Brianna Laurent rounding out your top 10 in points. And as we take a look at the schedule for the rest, and I say we, as I take a look at the schedule, next place we're going to head after Talladega next week is to the Music City. That's right, Nashville Superspeedway for 120 laps. A good race in there. And it's ironic that they call that track a super speedway because they will not be running nearly as fast or nearly as crazy as what we're seeing here tonight at Talladega. You're certainly going to see some good racing. Make sure you check that one out. After that, we head to Chicagoland on February 1st, Charlotte on February 8th, Texas on February 15th, and Las Vegas will be the last race, the championship race. Again, this series is just based off of points. There's no guarantee of really anything. So, oh, Wilder's trying to save it. 2 up in the wall. Hold your breath. Everybody saves it. Was just putting down the schedule that I was looking at. So right as these guys started having an issue, I just missed the back end of it. Or excuse me, the front end of it. So here we go. Wilder and Fritz lined up on the bottom, and you see Fritz right there. Gets a bit offset on the left side, and he's still trying to push Wilder. So once that car kind of starts to balance back down to the left, it's going to clip right across the nose of the 29. Nothing Wilder could do right there. Fritz able to go up, and Wilder with a heck of a save. I mean, just to hold on to this thing, he's going from about 200 miles an hour on banking to that same speed down on an apron that's dirty. He's got a bunch of marbles on it. And he had a couple more. I think it was Stinson and Greer who went up and just barely kissed the wall, but no harm, no foul, so we keep it green. Gotta wonder if that would maybe discourage the movement on this outside. It has not. The 3 SPINO Racing drivers still out there, still trying to make something happen. Chase Greer on the inside with Jay Stinson just behind him. Matthew Fritz in 3rd, the 39 of Grant Turner in 4th, Zach Stevens in 5th. And those 3, you wonder if it's enough. They've been proven so far tonight that at least when they're in the middle of the draft, they can make this same move work. But gotta wonder, how does it work out when they're in the back of the draft? Redinger does not have any aero push, only pull, so it's going to take a little bit longer for him to get connected with these 2. So they're finally got a single file out here with 37 laps complete. First time, and maybe the last time that we'll be saying that just about all night, as we take a look at the track map again. See, Brianna Lauren and DJ Mattis are currently about half a track behind your leaders. So again, they're still going to need a caution. And Sean Bell looks like he has retired from this race due to some issues. We saw him involved in a couple cautions, and I think that second one indeed broke the suspension, and he'd already had to use a fast pair earlier, so he's not going to be able to get that fixed, unfortunately, and it looks like that will bring his night to an end. So as they get single file, this is a good chance as a driver, especially if you're up in the front racing aggressive before we got single file, to start saving a little bit of fuel. Again, these cars punch a massive hole in the air, so you have the opportunity to save just about as much fuel as you want. You just got to play with the throttle a little bit. Let's take a ride on board here with John Lynch, see if he's doing just that. And it sounds like it. There you go. Yeah, he is not full throttle. Again, these guys aren't really saving for too much strategy. I think their only goal would be to make sure that they can make it on one stop from where we're at right now. That should be a pretty solid one stop, so I don't think you'll see too many guys trying to save too hard. But if you don't feel like getting up there to get racy right now, certainly do exactly what John Lynch is doing right here. Just take it easy, coast behind these guys. You got nothing to fight for yet, nothing to prove. Save it for the end of the race, as he did last week, and it helped him out. He won at Darlington, so let's just say John Lynch, again, maybe could go back-to-back. One of the first times that we've seen it in NOMA history. Well, I guess it's guaranteed to be first time here in NOMA history for the Gen 6 Series. It's our first season running. What a great season it's been up to this point. Chase Greer, Jade Stinson, Matthew Fritz, the 3 Venom Racing teammates right now make up your top 3, followed by Grant Turner, and then the 4th Venom Racing driver in Zach Stevens, Bradley King, Sean Wilder, an oddly duo currently bumper to bumper. Just behind them, there's the 3 SPINO Racing cars of John Lynch, Justin Parham, and oh, here we go. We're going to see our first round of pit stops. It's going to be from the 2 cars that are currently in danger of going a lap down. This will definitely put them a lap down. Seems early here for Laurent and DJ Mattis to be going in. So as they park it in their pit box, the field will go by again, put them a lap down unless anybody else decides to pit right here. But I still think it's a little too early. Do you see anybody pull off? Never mind, we are going to. Here we go. First round of pit stops at Talladega. Wilder, oh, some trouble there. A lot of wheel hop. We'll have to go back and take a look at exactly what happened right there for Sean Wilder. As for the group that actually makes it on, looks like everybody got on clean, and I don't think there's going to be any penalties for this one. And so they made this stop with exactly 30 laps to go. And man, I'm telling you, it's going to be really, really close on fuel. Makes you wonder, too, that if they didn't save any during that first run, how much can they really save during the second run? But we got a couple of them still out there trying to make something work. We'll see if maybe the strategy play here for the SPINO Racing drivers works out well, as that pit stop did seem to separate. Well, actually, I know why, and we'll go back and take a look at this incident in just a moment between Wilder and Lynch. Boy, it was a close call that they had, too. They're really lucky they didn't wreck, but here we go. Seeing if anybody decides to pit this time. Sure enough, it's going to be the 3 SPINO Racing drivers and the Pit Stall Motorsports' very own Sean Wilder, who's getting in a little hot. He's going to send John Lynch wide and make his eyes get big for just a moment. But again, looks like this group's going to get in just as clean as the first one did. So I want to see if we can go back here, take a look at what happened here for this first little stage break here for John Lynch and Sean Wilder. I think these are the two cars that do indeed tangle, and as a result, they almost lost the pack for that next lap, and certainly overall cost themselves some times. But does Wilder just try to pit and Lynch doesn't see it coming? I mean, trying to figure out what happens here. At this point, everything seems fine, and then, oh yeah, Wilder's trying to get down to the pits. Lynch doesn't know that. The 91 is still on track, so if John Lynch does get into the back of him and then gets into the back of him again, so I was wondering how much damage it did before he's finally able to keep it going, as does Sean Wilder. So it's a good save from both drivers, but you got to wonder how much damage did they acquire during that pit stop. Here you go, take a look at the track map. Here comes the field getting ready to roar by. At least the guys that already pit, being led by Grant Turner, Zach Stevens, Matthew Fritz, Chase Greer, and Jay Stinson. So as all these guys kind of start to group back together, it looks like it's going to put us at a 4-car lead draft. A couple of them dropped out from that last caution. Looks like John Bell, of course, we talked about out of the race, but Brandon Lauren has now fallen a lap down officially. DJ Madish, the last man on the lead lap. He is currently 30.7 seconds behind your leader. Bradley King in 10th, Sean Wilder in 9th. Everybody else is up here, throw them under a blanket. They are fighting hard for this first position, but I say fighting hard, maybe not. They're actually going to get a little out of characteristic here again as everybody single files out. And you got to wonder, is it a question of some fuel? Does anybody have some fuel concerns of maybe trying to save here just a little bit to make it to the end of this race? And again, when we hit 4 laps from now, we're going to be 25 laps to go. So you can, again, start to feel the end slowly but surely closing in. And again, with the last Super Speedway race of the season being here tonight, it's the big chance for a lot of guys specifically. I mean, it's hard to put your eye on someone specific because all these guys have a chance to win each and every week at whatever track we're at. But I think if you're Sean Wilder, this is your big make or break chance, right? You're out here for having some fun. You know that if you're competing part-time, you're probably not going to be competing for that championship. So the best thing you get to do in this position is just come out here, have some fun. If you wreck, no big deal. Try to make up some positions here towards the end. See if maybe he can't steal a win. And who knows what that would do for a season. Might change his chances around. We will just have to see. Zach Stevens still leading. Grant Turner in 2nd. Matthew Fritz in 3rd. We're going to take another break. We'll go side by side again so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us at Talladega. Front, now we're going to see a little 4-wide action.
Crazy out of the triangle.
Oh, he gets over in the lead under record.
3 by 3 entering 4.
3 deep. At the flag stand, side by side, it's going to be Jason Maines winning it at Talladega. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway for the Blue Ridge Auto Group 186. And we are closing in on the final 25 laps of this race. One of the big wild cards of the season. And right now, we have ourselves a 9-car lead pack. And they are all playing the cat and mouse game. Who's going to make the move first? And we're still not 100% sure on what fuel mileage is looking like. We might see one more, we might not, it just depends, but a lot of fuel saving right now definitely seems to be the name of the game for some of these guys. We get right on board here real quick with Justin Parham in the 9-car. Listen to that throttle input. He's trying to hold it probably right around 75%. As he has to catch the pack, he'll increase that to 100, and as he does catch the pack, he'll actually decrease it right here. There you go. Fades off of it. Gets himself a little gap. But man, definitely, it's got to be close, right? I mean, from what we saw with that first, I believe they went 20-something laps. Might have been around 25, a little bit more. And this run was 30 laps, or this run will be 30 laps rather in total. And I keep talking about his throttle input. You can see it right there. Take a look on this dashboard on the bottom right, and you see that light blue arc just above where it says 190 miles per hour. That's his throttle input here. And it's not 100%. He's trying as hard as he can to not do that. Compare that to a guy like Zach Stevens. Well, actually, Zach's actually saving a little bit as well. Let's see if we can go to one of these cars further back. Vanna Laurent is off pace, and then DJ Madish in the back of this pack. He's full throttle. He is not saving any fuel. You see that in his throttle tracing right there as the blue line goes all the way to the max. It's out a little bit, but man, he is still having some of those internet struggles. Zach Stevens, though, up front, you got to wonder how long does he stay up here. Again, continues to have to run a lot faster lap times and ultimately burn a lot more fuel as they're going around Brianna Laurent. That is going to put her, I believe, 3rd lap down of the night. Certainly not the run she necessarily wanted to have, but with 22 laps to go, you never know. Again, we have not seen the big one here tonight. I know it's a little hard to have the big one with only 13 cars, but you'd be surprised what we could see with a pileup at the end of these races. But how about Venom Racing right now? 1, 3, 4, and 5. And then Spino Racing 6, 7, 8. Throwing a couple wild cards in that mix. You got Grant Turner and then Sean Wilder, along with the 69 of DJ Madish, who is not on the lead lap, but he is in position to get the lucky dog if we were to get a caution here late. And as we talked about Brianna Laurent, it looks like that is going to put her 2nd lap down. So again, if we were to get another caution, she could stay out, get the free pass, but I think the moral of the story is she really needs to get one sooner. I just don't know if it's going to happen. All right, a lot of bobbing and weaving going on. It seems like maybe a couple people starting to get antsy, and I think we might know for sure whether or not they're going to pit based off of if anybody makes a move. I think if these guys maybe get to a point where they feel like they're definitely not going to make it, or if anybody gets to a point where they feel like it's too close to risk it, I think you immediately have to start pushing the envelope as a driver. But here we go. That'll answer the question. Final round of pit stops. Here we go. Leading them in is going to be the 33 of Stevens. And this is just about all of the Venom Racing drivers. Yep, sure enough. And then the 39 of Grant Turner, one of the wild cards in this pack. And, well, I guess they weren't quite going to make it, and now they're going to make that final stop. And I think this pushes the hand of that lead pack without a shadow of a doubt. And I think they're going to have to pit. And I think they'll pit probably pretty soon, maybe even this lap. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. But as Grant Turner slides into his box, final service again, this one should be just fuel, I would have to think, and it's looking like that is indeed the case as they all get going and get back out. Stevens is going to lead him out. Good pit stop for him. And here we go as we zoom in back on your leaders. Coming off of turn 4, here's Kenneth Redinger. What will he do? Does he lead his group in or does he stay out? Looks like he's going to choose to stay out for now. So maybe 2 different strategies. And tell you what's going to happen here is these groups, they got to push. Unless they think they're going to be good to go on fuel, they are going to have to push, and that's not looking like they're going to be. Looks like they've picked up the pace. Maybe going to see if they can run some faster laps than your leaders here. And right now, or excuse me, I guess I should say the leaders of the guys who've already picked. And so here you go. They did a phenomenal job getting back together. Stevens, Turner, Chase Greer, Jay Stinson, and Matthew Fritz. They are already back to a 5-car pack, and they're going to be taking off some fast lap times right here. I still think this pushes the hand of Redinger, Parham, and Lynch. Now, they do have Sean Wilder in this pack as well. He's the wild card still with them. But, man, I mean, Stevens is... They're holding the gap about even, actually. I'll tell you what, they're holding it right about even. Looks like Stevens is starting to gain just a little bit, but again, you got to remember, the more time you start to gain right now, the more time that's going to translate to when they come out of the pack. I said out of the pack, I meant out of the pits, but 18 laps to go here now at Talladega. Who do you got as a winner here tonight? Kenneth Redinger won Daytona. Parham still winless. Lynch won last week. Sean Water, one of the wild cards. Stevens looking for his first win, as is Turner, Chase Greer, Jay Stinson. A lot of people with a big chance here tonight. Looks like this group's going to actually get a little bit of an extra pull right here for just a moment off of Bradley King. That'll help their times out more, as it looks like King is just fallen his first lap down here. DJ Maddish still in position, though, to be the lucky dog. And again, they will stay out yet another lap. So this is going to bring them to 17 laps to go. Still no sign of a pit stop. And taking a look at that gap right here between Stevens and Wilder, it looks like it's extended a little bit. It's kind of fluctuating right between, it's been 37 seconds, but kind of keeps fluctuating between 37 and 4/10 of a second to 37 and 7/10 of a second. And so with that, maybe if you're this first group, you do continue to stay out and continue to try to make it work, but this is the strategy that makes it so fun as a broadcaster when you get races like this, because it really is still a race. These guys just can't physically see each other on track right now. And the thing they're racing is the clock. Which group can put down the better lap times right now? You see Grant Turner. We saw how aggressive he was all night. I think he'd be the prime position right here to be pusher, but they're starting to lose a little bit here. And you see Turner has to keep falling off. Not sure if he's getting hot, but this group has got to figure out something, whether it's rotating the car that gets hot to the back of the line, rotating the leader to the back of the line. But you just can't. You got to get locked up, and you got to stay locked up. And you can see they just can't seem to do it right now. Chase Greer is trying to follow Grant Turner, but he sees him get loose. That causes him to get a little spooked and bail out of the throttle. And so all of a sudden this group, which was kind of holding even, they're falling. It's back to over 38 seconds now, the gap between Group 1 and Group 2. And so if you're Kenneth Redinger, Parham, or Lynch, you're getting that message relay right now. You're saying, guys, let's stay out as long as we can, but they're not going to be able to stay out anymore. Here we go. Final round of pit stops for the SPINO Racing drivers. And Sean Water. Oh, Lynch getting in hot. Wilder's going to spin around. The 91 almost loses it. He goes about half around, but that's going to cost him all of his time. He will lose touch with the leaders here. So now it's all in the hands of Redinger, Lynch, and Parham. See how they're going to come out and fare versus this group that already pitted. Again, it's only a fuel stop, so this should not be that long, all things considered. Group 2, there you see, currently working their way off of turn number 4 right now. And watching for those leaders. We're going to go to the pit lane cam right here. There you go, just as they're getting off the pit, starting to get up to speed into the tri-oval, comes that second group. And it's going to be close. I think this second group will still leapfrog them, but I think that's actually going to end up working out at the end of the day in favor of Kenneth Redinger and company. And you'll see why here in just a moment. Taking a look at the blink cam, though. There's that second group being led by Stevens. Yeah, they're definitely going to go by. But what should happen here, as long as Redinger, Parham, and Lynch can get connected pretty quickly, is they're going to pull a ton of tow off of that lead group. And as a result, when they get that run, it's going to be a big run. And that is when we will start to see the racing. 15 laps to go, going to be 14 when we cross the line. There's no more pit stops. At this point, it is putting yourself in position and trying to win this race. You've got to wonder, what do we see up front here? Grant Turner, he's in an odd spot. He's kind of in a sandwich, if you will, of Venom Racing drivers. If he makes a move out of line, I don't think anybody really goes with him, at least not right now. Chase Greer, Stinson, they're going to stay and support their teammate along with Matthew Fritz. 17 of Bradley King's a lapper. You wonder what he does here. So I think if you're Grant Turner, you almost kind of have to wait until that second group gets up here. And when you see them take their run to the outside, that's maybe when you think about making that move. But I keep mentioning this second group, they're out of drafting range right now. In fact, taking a look at the gap right now from Matthew Fritz to Kenneth Redinger, it's about 1.8 seconds. Now this lap car on the back is going to help with that a little bit, so I think they'll be okay. But man, playing it really, really close right here. They're still currently about 2 100ths out of the draft here. They've got to find something. I said 2 100ths, 2 tenths rather. That's still a significant amount of time, and they're starting to fade again here. Parham has to stay locked on, but he just can't do it. He knows he's getting hot, and boy, who would have guessed this? I mean, the lap times did not lie. That first group had been running better before they pit, so man, all the time must have just been made up here during that pit stop. certainly you got to know that the loss of Sean Wilder through all that didn't help, and all of a sudden now it's up to 2.3 seconds, and if this gets anything over 3 seconds, I think all of a sudden you just dropped SPINO Racing out of the picture of this race. I'd be assuming that we went green the rest of the way, of course, and if that were to be the case, and as it is right now, for cars on the lead lap, it stands as a 5-car lead draft. And of course, they have the one lapper with them as Bradley King sits on the back of it. But Zach Stevens with the lead, Grant Turner in second, the 8 of Chase Greer back in third, Jay Stinson in fourth, Matthew Fritz rounding out your top 5. And when it's a 5-car battle and you got 4 teammates up here, you got a very legitimate shot at going 1, 2, 3, 4 if you're Venom Racing. And boy, what a stamp of dominance that would be if they could make that happen here tonight. First green flag stop, or excuse me, second green flag stop we got to see tonight. The first one, everybody executed. Everybody was on just about the same strategy. Second one, things changed up a little bit. And boy, they got on the train. They didn't mess up and still keep an eye on that gap. Again, you can't completely rule it out as Parham got locked back onto his teammate there, and it started to close up just a little bit. It got down to almost 2 seconds, but then there you go. Parham has to fall off of his teammate, and just like that, it starts to extend. So it's kind of like this never-ending game of catch-up. And if you're Parham, you honestly just need unlimited temps, and you don't have that. As he gets locked up here, he makes a ton of progress when he pushes like this, but then he starts to get hot, and all that progress that they make all of a sudden starts to go out the window. And if you're John Lynch, there's not really much you can do. You can't really 3-car tandem in these cars. You just kind of got to sit as close as you can to that driver that's second in line to try to provide some aero support to the back of that car. But it is now back to 2.5 seconds. And again, they have to get it down to 1.5 in order to catch a draft from the leader. So still not there just yet, and they're going to be running out of time as we'll be coming to 10 laps to go at the line this time. So no moves expected to be made up front, probably until we get within 3 laps to go. I would be surprised if these guys wait till the white flag, because they're all trying to hold that second pack containing Redinger, Parham, and Lynch from catching them, and they're 3 seconds back, so they continue to succeed at it. We are going to catch it all and the finish when we come back and take our final break tonight. It'll be a relatively quick one. Stick with us. We'll be right back to Talladega. Front, now we're going to see a little 4-wide action.
Crazy out of the triangle.
Oh, he gets in the lead under record.
3 by 3 entering 4.
3-2. At the flag stand, side by side, it's going to be Jason Maines winning it at Talladega. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway. Again, quick reminder where we head next after this. Over to PGR Esports for the Acres 55. Don't miss out. Race starts at 10:35. So go back to full screen. You see them coming through the tribal. They are coming to 6 laps to go in the Blue Ridge Auto Group 186. Zach Stevens still out in front. Grant Turner in second. We thought earlier with the cat and mouse game, but now it certainly is. You got a lot of teammates up here, and as much as obviously they want a teammate to win, you can't just roll over and give it to your teammate right now, I don't think, especially with Grant Turner up there in second. So I think what's going to happen here is the rest of the Venom Racing guys are probably going to wait until the white flag, if I had to guess. And I think we'll see a couple moves being made. Jay Stinson, Matthew Fritz, and Chase Greer, they're starting to back up here. If you're Grant Turner, you need to be careful. You need to start watching that mirror. I think if you're Grant, your best shot of winning here is going to be to jump out and try to block the run that these Venom Racing guys get. Nothing doing yet. Stinson and Fritz close the gap back up, but no move is made. Bradley King, DJ Mattis, you still wonder what kind of role are these two going to play? 2 of the lap cars, but certainly could be a deciding factor depending on if they decide to race with these guys or just sit back and watch. And as you see there, Bradley King's a lap down. DJ Mattis is 2. Brianna Lauren is 3 down. We saw her unfortunately go another lap down during that commercial break. And wait a minute now, Fritz, he took a peek at it off at turn number 2, quickly darts back in line. You were also watching the gap between Redinger and Matthew Fritz to see if he was closing up at all, and just doesn't look like it is, unfortunately. They have not picked up any more help, unlike the first group who's picked up a couple more cars. So 3 cars pushing as hard as they can is just not enough here in these Gen 6 cars. Something that maybe we see you get away with in the trucks, you just can't get away with in the old Cup cars. So unfortunate break for the SPINO Racing guys. They still have a shot if they can get a caution, but they're really running out of time. If we can make it around this place clean 3 more times to grab that white flag, this race will be official. And when you got single file line like this, it kind of makes you think things are going to stay clean, and it almost gives you that classic feel. I mean, you go back to the old days when you get these long single file lines towards the end of a race, and that last move wouldn't come till the white flag lap. You got one shot at it. You had to make sure you set it up right. You had to make sure you had the right people to go with you. I think that's exactly what we're going to expect right here. I'm just curious who is going to make the move first, though. Is it going to be Jay Stinson? Is it Matthew? I think it'll end up being maybe Jay Stinson and Matthew Fritz for sure. I think the bigger question is, does Chase Greer jump out as well? Or does he maybe stay low in case Grant Turner tries to block high so he can support Zach Stevens? And I mean, all in all, we know that Zach Stevens, one of the fan favorites, especially over the truck series, including here in the Gen 6 series. The driver out of Bethune, South Carolina, looking again for his first win on the season. Boy, he can start to taste victory, man. 3 laps to go at Talladega. These are going to feel like the longest laps of his life, and still a good ways to go, over 4 miles. 3 laps, man, oh man. Starting to get a little dicey up front. Turner is really pushing it. On the flip side of all of that, you know what we didn't talk about is how does Grant Turner win this race? I mean, I know I said he can try to block, but more than that, what have we seen all night that's been a distinct factor? That's that these cars, when you get tandemed up, you can create a little gap for just a little period of time. So I think if you're Grant Turner right here, maybe you think about trying to get lined up with Zach Stevens, tandem push him probably going into turn 3, all the way through 4. See if you can't get a little distance between that backpack. Make it just between the 2 of you, pull out, get a side draft, and man, what a move that would be if Grant Turner could make that work. But we are going to have to see 2 laps to go now. Last lap for a caution. See DJ Mattis jumping out of line. He's trying to get these guys to get a little racy. Anything he can do to have a shot to get back on the lead lap, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Turner starting to back up just a little bit, but watch for somebody. I mean, really almost look like they're getting on the brakes a little bit to back this line up, catch a run. I mean, I feel like Stinson and Fritz have been kind of experimenting with it, but they've yet to take it. It's decision time, though, now, because as they come through the tribal, white flag is in the air. 1 lap to go at Talladega. Grant Turner, here we go. He's starting to push away from that front group just a little bit. Chase Greer, Jay Stinson, Matthew Fritz, no move yet. Fritz and Stinson starting to back up here a little bit. Jay's got to run now. Does he jump out? No, he doesn't. He's going to get on the brakes yet again. Keeping at this angle to watch those runs. Again, Grant Turner, he is locked back onto Zach Stevens. He's trying to push him away from the rest of this field before he thinks about making a move. And Jay Stinson, Chase Greer, here we go. All right, now they're making that backup move. Off of turn 4 is going to be the final chance for those 3. Do we see the move? Turner fell off the bumper. Chase Greer with another run. No move for him. Now Jay Stinson's going to jump out of line. Chase Greer tries to block. Too late. Turner looks for the block. Chase Greer's going to go back low. No moves will be made. Zach Stevens is going to win it at Talladega. Well, they tried it. They waited till the end, and it just was not quite enough. But how about first career win for Zach Stevens in the NOMA Gen 6 Series? Boy, it was a good run to the line, and Ken, I think we were saying this at Daytona, but they had another certain amount of room to go. You never know, but just ran out of space before they crossed the start-finish line. Let's go back and take a look at it here. So actually, I almost wonder if they got a little uncoordinated here with this. I know you got to race for yourself, but when you have teammates, that's where the moves are going to come the best from. And right here, as Jay jumps out, Chase kind of jumps out late. Grant Turner jumps out, makes a pretty decent block here. Chase Greer says no thank you, drops back low. And Grant actually pulls a pretty good side draft, but he's just not going to have any help here as Stevens gets one more push from Chase Greer. And wow, boy, that was a lot closer than we initially thought. My goodness, I thought Grant had faded back a car length. That is not the case. I mean, Zach Stevens looks like final gap was 100th of a second, so Grant Turner giving us a photo finish there, but Stevens still able to hold on after leading just about all of that final fuel run. So hats off to him, and as we go back live and he burns it down, let's take a look at your finishing results here on the night. Bringing home the win again, Zach Stevens. Grant Turner finishes in second. Chase Greer back in third. Jay Stinson in fourth. Matthew Fritz fifth with Kenneth Redinger in sixth. Justin Parham in seventh. John Lynch eighth. Bradley King ninth. And DJ Madish rounding out your top 10. Brianna Laurent finishes in 11th. Sean Wilder back in 12th. John Bell will round out your top 13. Moving on back to 14th. Actually, if we can here. Actually, I forgot that was it. I thought we had a 14th car here tonight. All right, we're going to go see if we can get your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega. All right, back live at Talladega. Going to start first tonight with the third place finisher, and that is Chase Greer. Hey, Chase, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Got you, buddy. How you doing?
Good. Well, you bring home third, and man, you pushed your teammate to victory, and it was a lot closer than I initially thought it was. But you guys stayed single file, and then at the end you made the move. Was that the game plan? And do you feel like you could have done anything different there at the end?
Yeah, that was the game plan. As you said, white flag, all mans for themselves, and I tried to lift going into 3 a little bit to get a run, but then Jay was doing the same thing, so it didn't really work out. And then coming off, I was trying to get to Grant's right rear to, side draft was so powerful in this car. And when I went up, he went up, and I realized I wasn't going to get there, so I was like, I just need to make sure Zach wins it. So I just turned down and pushed him. But it was a good race, good pit stop by everybody, good strategy, and glad we were able to get the 3, 4, 5. So.
Well, it was the last time that we head to a giant super speedway like this on the season. The rest of the way is mile and a halfs, etc. So is there anything that you feel like maybe helped bring some momentum into the rest of the season that you pulled out here tonight?
I mean, it's always good to be up front, but we know John, Kenneth, and Justin are really good at mile and a half, so it's going to be tough. But at least we can go in the next race knowing we won, and happy about that. Certainly can. Well, before we let you head out tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out? Well, shout out to my wife, mother-in-law who's watching, and you for broadcasting, everybody at Manny Rays for putting this on. It's been fun. Well, thank you for talking to us. Congrats again on the third place finish, and we will see you next week. All right, later, bud. All right, and now that's going to bring in your second place finisher here tonight, Grant Turner. Hey, Grant, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, you bring home second tonight, and man, again, you made that finish a lot closer than I initially thought it was on camera. You just lose it by 100th of a second. You jumped out. You didn't have much help. How were you planning that out coming to the finish?
Well, I was just trying to get it to the finish to start out, but going into 3 and 4, I had my oil temp get too hot again, so I had to back out off Zach, and everything was going to plan. I came out from behind him in the tri-oval to try to just get him right at the line, but unfortunately for me, Chase also tried that, but then went down to give Zach one last push, which was just enough to keep him getting the win.
We know that you're one of the guys that's independent right now on the season. Not many teammates and none here tonight. And how do you kind of factor that in when we come to these big plate tracks and it's so important? And how do you ultimately still keep track position in this case?
Usually what you can do is, like what I was doing, I was pushing anyone who was in front of me. Try to make it be known, even non-verbally, of how good you can be in the draft, whether it be being pushed or pushing. And sometimes that will be the defining factor of just knowing when everyone's going to need help. You could always try to find that person.
Well, a good finish tonight. Before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
I want to thank you, of course, for the broadcast, as well as all the league sponsors, letting us have some fun here at Talladega this week. I do want to thank GamerSups for always giving me the energy to do these races, especially whenever I have to go into work in 5 hours. Yay, winter storm. And just Thrustmaster giving me some good equipment to actually have some fun here.
Well, thank you for talking to us. Congrats again on the second place finish, and we will see you out here next week.
Have a good one. See you at the next race.
You as well. All right, now that is going to bring us to your winner on the night, Zach Stevens. Zach, this is Austin the Booth. You got a copy?
I got you, man.
Well, first career win in the NOMA Gen 6 Series, and it comes at the biggest, baddest track of them all. How did you do it at Talladega tonight?
We worked really good as a team tonight. That felt really good. That's how it should be. We was clicking pretty well all night. Had good pit stops. Grant pushed me really good there for the last stint, and got a really, really good push from Chase at the end there to push me past Grant. So we want to thank him. I know we had a little incident last week, so to perform like that as a team was really good tonight.
Well, you've came so close so many times before, and now that you got the first one out of the way, do you feel like there's some weight off the chest, and do you think you can maybe go back-to-back next week?
I hope so. This is a drafting track, so I'd like to get one on a mile and a half or something like that, where it's more in my hands. But regardless, it feels great. It's the first win in the NOMA League in any series, so hopefully there's more to come. Had a lot of fun tonight. It's just a really good team win tonight. We was working together pretty well all night.
Well, you were a ton of fun to watch. So before we let you head out to enjoy your winnings, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I just want to thank Crown Lift Trucks for being on the car, Nevea CMOS, and all the sponsors from Venom Racing. I want to thank NOMA for putting it on, for you for broadcasting, and all my teammates tonight. It was a whole lot of fun tonight.
All right. Well, thank you. Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, just want to thank my uncles and my dad for watching tonight as well. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, and you certainly had a little fan base. Mitchell Stevens almost predicted you getting the win tonight. You pulled through. Congrats on it, and we will see you out here next week.
Oh, yeah, man. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
You as well. Zach Stevens, your winner tonight. And didn't mean to cut him off there. Again, sometimes we hear that pause as a broadcaster. You think that means they're done. Just wasn't sure in that case. Nonetheless, that is going to just about wrap up our coverage tonight for the Blue Ridge Auto Group 186 at Talladega. We're going to go get set up for some PGR Esports action, but thank you all so much for coming out. As always, I hope you enjoyed. We'll be back again next week. And until then, have a good night.